Hello, everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me. Um, we had some hitches. Giving birth to the future human is not as easy as I'd hoped. Um, but I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for hanging on. And also want to thank our tech team for staying very calm and just resolving the problem. So yeah, I'm going to dive straight in since you've been waiting around for a little while. Um, let's do a little attunement. Let's do a little moment, just take a moment, because launching something new like this it's nice to just take a breath and a pause and just come inside ourselves for a moment. It's like to set ourselves on a trajectory. So something amazing is taking place on our planet right now. And despite what's going on the outside, all the difficulties, challenges, differences, something incredible is taking place on the inside. And that's what this teaching is all about. So when you go inside yourself and you close your eyes and you go into your inner world, that's where you tune into what's actually really dawning in the world, what's really coming alive. And it's very easy for us to be distracted by the dramas and the theater of the senses. And actually, there's another world on the inside where extraordinary things are happening. So I'd like us to feel and open to the possibility that a new part of humanity, a new human, is in the process of being born, literally into the ashes, as the old systems and ways are showing cracks and beginning to dissolve, and as climate is changing, it's a sign that something is taking place much deeper than we often realize. And in my teachings of the gene keys, I use the allegory of the dragonfly a lot. And you'll see on the logos of my books and things, the dragonfly appears. And I want to put it to you that you are a dragonfly. Each one of us is a dragonfly, has a dragonfly inside us. And the miracle of the dragonfly is that it spends several years of its life underwater as a predator. And one day it emerges from that watery environment and it climbs up a stalk of grass. And some of you have heard this story before, but it's still a good story. And it's a true story. And the dragonfly comes up into the light and the sunlight, and the sun starts to work on it, and it's never left the water before. And then inside it, incredible things are taking place, massive, huge shifts as the old casing of its old life splits open, and this thorax uncurls, and it is a multicolored, iridescent creature with these four incredible wings, iridescent, shining, and rippling in the air. And then, of course, it takes to the air. So it goes from being this nondescript underwater creature, a nymph, and it suddenly goes through this massive change into an incredible creature of the air. And I want you to tune in a little bit to this image, that this is something that's taking place inside you. This is something that's taking place inside every human alive. And especially in the children that are being born at the moment and are coming into the world, that they're carrying something, a secret. that may take generations to emerge, but it will emerge very quickly as the dragonfly emerges. So it's just a way of setting a little allegory as we go forward. And I'm going to introduce you now into the star pearl and what it is. But actually, before I do that, I just want to very much honor and say a thank you. And I'll be very quick on this. I just want to honor the journey and the team and the group of people who have helped behind the scenes of the star pearl from the very beginning of its inception. There have been many people who've put their energy, their love, their genius into this journey and into this tool. And I want to just thank everyone because, and you know who you are. And it's been an incredible journey to get to this point. It's been many years, 5 years at least. So let's dive in and see what we've created. I know that's why you've come. So I'm going to do a very quick intro, and then I'm going to take you on a little journey with some slides, and we're going to show you the tools. I've got my friend Elijah here, who's the designer of a lot of the technology behind this and the orchestrator of some of that. So you'll probably meet him. So what is the star pearl? My elevator pitch. I kind of have rather a long elevator pitch, but you'll have to forgive me that. It's a transformational tool. And the purpose of it is to bring the various different areas of our lives into harmony, into balance. So your relationships, your emotional life, your creativity, your family, your friends, your community, your working life, your finances, your health, your higher purpose, your spiritual path, if you have one. All of that gets brought into coherence, gets brought into a higher harmony. That's the purpose of this tool, to do that. And it does that by combining your Gene Keys profile, and the inner technology of the Gene Keys. The Gene Keys is a whole set of tools in itself that's been created with a powerful new self-assessment tool that measures your life as a whole. So just as a conductor tunes the orchestra, or a mechanic is tuning the engine of a car, the star pearl is a technology that specifically addresses different areas of disharmony in our life, in the system, and brings them back into balance, into resonance. And the result is your life starts humming like a beautiful brand new engine, or an orchestra playing a perfect symphony, in harmony. And how does it do this? How does the star pearl do this? It does it using the art of contemplation. Contemplation is the central technique, and it brings the art of contemplation into action in our lives. So the Gene Keys are the map, the star pearl is a journey and guide, and contemplation is the technique. And we apply contemplation internally as a transformational process, and externally as action. We have to do things to change things in our outer life as well. So it's a powerful tool. You'll learn a lot about it as you come into this course if it's new to you. And it's something you can take away, and a very powerful tool in your life. What will the star pearl do for you? This is the question everyone wants to know. What will it do for me? It will help us enter into what I call the miracle field. It will help polish the pearl at the core of our being. The pearl, we each have an essence. It's represented by this word, the pearl, the symbol of the pearl. And it will help bring you into a higher harmonic functioning in your life, in which your true genius can begin to emerge, and it will put you where you need to be with the people you need to support you in manifesting your higher purpose. It will transform you into a dragonfly. Sorry, that was a long elevator ride, but hell, How long does it take? I would say, I want to invite you to kind of come on the journey for 9 months. 9 months, you'll be like, oh, what, is he mad? That's just, we can't do that in this day and age. I haven't got that kind of time. It goes along in the background of your life, but it's, you can tack this into any life. It's up to you to kind of find a way inside your life to bring this gestation period of the future you, the real you, the higher you, the harmonic you, to come out into the world, to be born in your life. So gestation period, that's how long it takes. It may take longer than that, of course, because then the birth happens and then you carry on growing. But actually, it's not a quick fix system. The Gene Keys isn't a quick fix. It's not one of those things. Contemplation is a deep, beautiful art. So how does it really work? Let's take a look. One of the first things that we're going to see when we come into this is we're going to see a star pearl. You're going to see your profile. And your profile is a Merkaba. And a Merkaba is a beautiful word. It's like a field of light. There it is. Thank you, Elijah. He's revealed himself through his star pearl. And the Merkaba represents, it's a Judaic word, actually, but it represents the sacred geometry of our being. And so when we look at this star pearl, it's a star shape, and that made up of these spheres and crisscrossing lines. And it's the tool, it's the matrix that we use in this teaching to help bring things alive. So the pearl is your essence in the middle there. It's where you create from. It's the field potentially of miracles, of magic. But if these outer areas are not in harmony, we're going to look into these, then the pearl can't shine. It can't activate that magic, the core of us. And so when you look at these different spheres, you'll see that they represent the various areas of our life. So stability at the bottom, and then we have, stability is everything about stability: your finances, your assets, your health, your, how you feel inside yourself, things that make you stable in your world, your relationship to the world as a whole. Do you feel stable here? And then we have, I'm not going to go through all of them, and then we have vocation, which is your purpose. On the other side, we have culture, which is your connections into the community around you, the various communities and the support networks around you. And then we have relating, which is obviously all your relationships, individual relationships. And then we have creativity, how we approach life through our creative spirit. And at the top, we have the brand. It's called the brand, which is our self-expression and how we're received by the world, our voice in the world, and how our purpose puts our voice out into the world. And in the middle is that pearl. So the process begins with this self-assessment, and this is we're looking at your dashboard here. And the self-assessment is it's a pleasurable thing to do. It asks you very probing questions about your life. And it asks you to look at sentences and mid harmonics, low harmonics, and high harmonics. And then it allows you are asked to then kind of answer that question by using that slider. And that slider kind of, it's between 0 and 100, basically. So it's a self process, and you're really asked to be deeply honest and to come into a kind of contemplative space when you do this. And you'll look at this and you'll begin to go through this incredible process. And then what happens towards the end of it is that your scores get totaled up. So you submit that, and then you'll see that your journey really then begins. And this is your star pearl. So this is your dashboard in the course, and this will be your star pearl. And what happens in here is that your scores make a color. So they get averaged out into the different spheres. There's 9 questions in each sphere, and then they get averaged out, and then all of those scores or values get averaged out in your pearl, which is called your harmonic, your overall life harmonic score. And that places you in a category, right? In a color category. This one's called citrine. And in each level of harmony, there are themes. So if you can look and you can see at 6D, here's jade, and there are certain themes in there stretching beyond our comfort zone, accelerated change, and there are sub themes. And so as you go up in terms of creating more harmony in your life harmonic goes up, your score goes up. And the purpose of using this tool, this program, is to get our overall life score, the harmonic score, to move upwards. And that doesn't mean that we're sort of transcending our life or anything. It means that we're creating more harmony at every level in our life. And remember, at the beginning, I said, you were going to go to the places first where there's disharmony. So what happens is we have what's called an action triangle, the first thing that we're given. And the action triangle is formed out of the 3 lowest scores that we've given ourselves. And it's that action triangle that begins our journey. They all have different names. There's 20 different ones. This one's called empathic mission. And out of this comes your journey through the star pearl. And you'll see that as you carry on through this process, because it's going to be a journey of weeks and months as you go deeper into the layers of the contemplation, and you begin to apply it to your life. But as you go deeper, you'll be able to track your timeline as well, your progress over time. A line will start forming, because you will continue to do self-assessments. You'll do various self-assessments, and you'll check back in, and you'll see, well, what's gone up? Has anything gone down? And hopefully, over a period of time, you will notice this line moving upwards. And also, of course, we can track the whole community. So that's kind of another thing I'll talk about later. So that gives you an idea of the tool itself. And I hope that gives you a sense of what the tool is designed to do. We've created a lot of other things as well here. There's something called a harmonic triangle, which I may mention later, which is your strengths. So the three highest scores. And so we don't just look at the things that are kind of needing attention the most. We also look to strengthen those aspects of our nature that are already strong. Courageous collaboration. So this is someone that would, that is something that they're good at, collaboration. And so we build on those things, and we go deeper and deeper in these layers. How it works over time is we create workbooks and the online course itself. And the online course is quite sophisticated. It moves us in layers, in steps. So the whole thing you could look upon as an initiation, as a journey. So if you think if you're going to decide to do this, over the next 9 months of your life, at a leisurely pace, you're going to go through, first of all, your self-assessment, your first one. You're going to get your action triangle. You're going to begin to work on it, deep contemplation. You're going to learn your gene keys, which are in all those spheres. And then through those, understanding those keys and the shadow keynotes and the gifts in there, you're going to be able to understand and change the way you view your life. And then it's going to be a step-by-step process. You're going to apply that to your life as you're living your life. We've created these beautiful workbooks that also are personalized according to your profile, so they're very specific to you. They're going to be available when we do the first webinar. They're coming on in a little bit of time. And so you're going to then do a second self-assessment, and then you're going to go and do a third self-assessment. Ideally, these will be 3 months apart. So you'll be checking in on your life again, seeing have things changed? Has my inner reality changed? And have I begun to change things externally as well? Because if you're finding areas of, disharmony, you're also going to be doing things about it. So you might this is why it's called action triangle. We want you to take action in your life to change it, to bring more harmony, to bring more coherence. And what you'll find is that as something shifts, even a small thing can shift in your life, it can have a massive effect in the whole of your life. This is a holistic system. So it's like the mechanic that finds the fault in the engine, and you find that tiny little thing that's not working, and then you fix that tiny little thing that's working, and everything else starts to come into harmony. So you're going to do over a period of time these assessments, and that's how it's going to work. You're going to get different layers that open up, and the second time you do it, you'll probably get a different triangle because different scores will have shifted. So you'll be working in a different area. Different areas of your life will open up, and you'll get your own, again, another workbook to go in. And the workbooks are very creative. They're just a framework for you to follow. They give you right brain ideas and left brain, and they invite you to kind of really focus practically on the process of transformation. So if we go inside, what happens inside one of this in the process itself? You take the self-assessment, you get your results, you see your life harmonic, you discover your action triangle. There's empowerments in there, there's meditations, there's journeys, there's things to read. You begin to explore your course and the workbook. And ideally, over 3 months, you'll be exploring one sphere, one gene key. It also has what's called a line, the pathway that connects one sphere to another of your triangle, and you're going to begin to bring it alive. So at the moment, it's all just words, but actually, your words are very specific to you. When you load the gene keys technology into this, it becomes super personal because these keys are related only to you. And that's why the workbooks are kind of magical, because they're your personalized journey, and you can explore with that. Other things in the course, here's an example of an action triangle, so this is called passionate impact. And you can see it has these 3 pathways. There are pathways of structure, there are pathways of flow, and there are pathways of fortune. And this particular one has 2 pathways of structure. So if someone got this one, it would suggest that this person is needing more structure in their life. And the program will help you decide what that structure needs to look like. And then you'll hopefully, through a process of contemplation and then bring it into action, you'll bring that structure into your life. You'll start actually enacting it. And then you'll find balance coming back into your life in all kinds of amazing ways. So there's keynotes and names and headings wherever you go. It's all explained, it's all described. Here's an example of the gene keys. These, oh, look, they're my gene keys, actually. And, so you can see, like, if I'm working in that triangle, I'm going to be working, like, if you look at the things that undermine me, you're going to see confusion. And then at the bottom one, you're going to see unease. And then the other one, you're going to see oppression. So you're going to look and see, well, what's the relationship between those 3 shadow patterns and how do they undermine me? And you're going to look at them individually, but you're also going to look at them as a dynamic in your life. And then you can do the same with the gift. You can see, wow, my intuition, if I start to trust my intuition, then my imagination starts to come online and open up. And then a transmutational process takes place in my life. Things start changing all around me. And then the higher keynotes, which we call siddhis in the gene keys. A siddhi is a Sanskrit word, means like a divine gift or a higher superpower, if you like. Deep clarity and illumination and transfiguration that can lead to kind of incredible revelations and epiphanies. So this is a journey of exploring these gene keys and our particular keys, but in a very nuanced and highly specific way, according to our own self-assessment of where we need to put attention the most. Throughout the process, we ask that, we suggest, I should say, that before you move on from one key to another, or one triangle to another, you wait until you've had a breakthrough in some way. And breakthroughs can come mentally as insights. What practical actions can I take in my everyday life to bring about change, to bring about more joy, to bring about more harmony, more peace? Emotional breakthroughs, we call these pivotal breakthroughs. In what way can I shift my attitude, my inner attitude, or my approach to situations or a person, for example, a relationship problem that we're having? And then there are also more rarer but very powerful full body epiphanies. These are very physical, when the cells of the body kind of come into a deep recognition. And so this then becomes a very physical process, a very physical program, where your body is very engaged and your breathing is engaged. And because to come into harmony with the whole of your life is actually to bring your breath right back down to your center. And that's what we're doing. We're doing it through adjusting the various areas of our inner and outer life so that it comes into balance. We also have, what other things do we have in here? We've got we've got in what we call the codex, and the codex is for deep divers. You know, this Star Pearl process and this program, it's for beginners, and it's also for seasoned voyagers of the Gene Keys, you know, who've done a lot and who are really doing deep work. And in the codex are all the writings, you know, of all these different areas. So every sphere, what it means, every keynote, what it means, its planetary influence, its place in the body, how it can be embodied, the pathways, what the names mean, why they mean that, the triangles, everything. It's all loaded in here. It's a heap of writing that you can read, study, and explore. So this is a part that you can study. If you're a newcomer, you don't need to do all this study. It can, if you're brave and you're bold. But because it's laid out for you step by step. So we give you the pieces that you need in order to take the action that will then initiate the change in your life that will then bring you more harmony. But for those, as you go deeper into the program, you might want to start looking into the codex and reading and really enjoying some of the richness of the depth, and there are lots of webinars in there as well. We also have a thing called the treasure box, where we're putting in there like really interesting articles or meditations or journeys and things that have, you know, a relationship to this tool, you know, to help us find deeper inspiration. So a lot of different new content we're going to keep putting in there, and we'll let you know as you're in the program all the things that we keep throwing into their treasure box. That's lovely. It's also, you know, this is in a way what excites me, because this notion of the future human is that it's, you know, when you think about the dragonfly, you're thinking like, what could the future human look like that's so different from the old one? And one thing is that it is a networked consciousness. You know, this is something completely new. We're moving towards a collective coherence, a networked consciousness that is almost like we become neural pathways between us as humans, and we begin to connect up with each other, and we also can begin to weave patterns of destiny with each other, and, you know, creatively. So moving together towards this coherence as a community is really exciting, you know, and we can use this Star Pearl tool to see how a community evolves. You know, so lots of individuals all around the world doing their process, and you can anonymously put in your data, and we won't use it for anything else other than showing us, you know, what are the patterns of evolution and what are the harmonic patterns moving through this community. And we should see that line gradually going up, so we could see in the color spectrum where the community lives, as you know, in the beginning, the very beginning, we'll be able to see, you know, which color is this community, you know, which frequency band does it exist at. And then as we go through the Star Pearl process over the months, we should begin to see, as people are putting in their self-assessment scores, this curve, we can track the whole community's progress. You know, it might have some dips, it might have some rises, you know, it might also depend a little bit on what's going on in the outer world, because we're all affected strongly by what's going in the outer world. So it's going to be really interesting seeing how we rise above whatever is going on in the outer world as we're strengthening the harmony deep inside. And that's really what this is about. It's a social experiment. You know, you're the first pioneers. If you're coming on board now, you know, you're coming in to, you know, these live events, you know, and I'm going to be giving a monthly webinar for the next 9 months. We're going to be doing Q&A sessions, exploring any of your questions from the practical to the mystical. We have community forums that you can get involved in, so you can meet other people. And for instance, in the community forums, they're going to be arranged through action triangles. So if you had that triangle of passionate impact, for example, and you're working on that, on those processes in there, you can join with other people also working with that part of their life, the passionate impact. And that could be really valuable, being able to engage with them and share stories about, what's going on in your life and some of the breakthroughs that you're having. So really, this is just the beginning of a big journey, the Star Pearl. Eventually, our goal is to turn this into an app. And we've got a lot of exciting news coming in 2025 with our tech team, bringing more into the Gene Keys technology. And so this will be one of the things that we put into that. So in this first month, I want to invite you just to really take your time and study, if assuming you want to get involved, and in your first month, even if you're doing this later, you're watching this, I want to invite you just to really immerse yourself in the introductory course materials. We have a month to set the stage, of this conscious conception that we're going to do. We're going to conceive a new you, a new human. And there's a fantastic Navigating Your Course video by Elijah that will take you through the materials and how it works, much better than I'm doing here. And I want to invite you also not to rush into your self-assessment. You want to set a nice day for it. Goal is to have as many of us ready to have done the self-assessment by our first webinar on February 27th. And that's when we'll launch the Action Triangle workbooks. It's when we'll introduce, live, a whole journey, a new feature that we've never used. Those workbooks, they're incredible, I think. So if you're ready to kind of dive in and it sounds fun, you can start exploring the codex, and you can, as I said, the treasure box is going to be filling up as well. So, I recently did a 2 days in London, and I talked about this notion of the future human. And one of the things that I've recently also, one of the things that's going around the world at the moment is called the telepathy tapes. And it's the stories of young children, autistic children especially, with kind of paranormal abilities to hear each other's thoughts, to be able to read minds, to be able to contact each other through the field. And this is something that is coming into the world. These children are the forerunners of the new human. And we're also caught up in this, all of us, because it's about opening up the higher faculties of the brain and the pineal gland. And this is not new. If you're new, if this sounds weird and woo-woo to you, there's a lot of information about this that's been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it's not all kind of mythological. Some of it is actually, you can go to Tibetan Buddhism or Taoism or Kabbalah and places like that. And this stuff has actually been known about for a very long time. And this new human has also been prophesied to be coming, for a very long time. And it's not one being, it's all of us. It is this full flowering of our collective consciousness. So if it sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll consider exploring the Star Pearl. It is a big piece of work, but it will be an incredible thing when you decide to do it. And so, yeah, let's just kind of, after all that, hopefully I've done a fairly good job of introducing. Thank you, Elijah, for taking us through the slides. Coming back to the dragonfly, just for a moment, just everything you've just heard, take it inside, and just imagine that inside you is this other being, this higher being that lives at a higher frequency of awareness, of open-heartedness, that has access to these heightened frequencies, that finds it easy to forgive, that doesn't get trapped in opinions, your own or others, but has a deep level of freedom, of flow, of ease in the world. imagine yourself as deeply stable in your being, one of the most stable beings in your community, like an anchor, like someone that isn't ruffled by chaos, by anything that happens out there. So that there's a universal law, which is that when something new appears in creation, something old has to die. And so when we look at the world around us, what we're seeing is the death throes of an old world, of a patriarchal society, of old ways of being and old ways of thinking, territorial, all these things that we see, the things that lead to wars, the things that lead to this deep suffering and poverty. It's old ways of being. And sometimes towards the end, they get kind of extreme. But what this course does is it focuses in on what's coming out, what is being born while the old is crumbling. Because if you put all your attention on the old crumbling, you'll miss the beautiful secret of the new that's being born, that's being conceived, and you are part of that journey. So I want you to really feel in your heart, in your body, in your being that you have a dragonfly being inside you. You have a heightened being that lives at a different harmonic frequency. And it's not rocket science for you to make the necessary changes in your life, internally and externally, to create the conditions for this higher being to emerge, this genius inside you to emerge and enter into that magical field, the miracle field, the field where the linear mind cannot understand. It cannot go there. You know, we're trained in linear thinking, and the heightened consciousness is the world of quantum leaps, is a world of wormholes. It's a world of deep mysteries that need never be solved, cannot be solved, some of them, by any science, because they're beyond the logical brain to understand. And so there's a great beauty in that. And that is the pearl that each of us carries inside us. So come and find out, what's your pearl? How does your star pearl configuration create those harmonics so that that new level of soul incarnation, embodiment can take place in your life? And then you can have a really beautiful, easy, powerful, compassionate, blissful life. You can kiss goodbye to suffering. You really can. The new human doesn't know it. So there's a transmutation process that has to take place. And it's deep, and it requires courage, and it requires some self-discipline. But it's also kind of fun, especially when you do it with others. So that's what this teaching is all about. That's what the Gene Keys are all about. This star pearl is the jewel in the crown of the Gene Keys teachings. It's for everyone. So whether you're new to the Gene Keys completely and you know nothing about it, it's for you. Or whether you've been around the block many times and you really know the stuff and you've heard me banging on about it for a long time, it's also for you, because you can take it deeper and deeper and more nuanced areas in your being and awaken those sleeping parts of yourself. So thank you for bearing with me throughout this process. I'm going to linger a little bit here, and if you need to go, please feel free to go. And if you want to linger a bit and ask some questions, I'm very happy to spend some time answering your questions as best I can. I also got Elijah here who can answer any technical questions or any other question, actually. But I want you to really understand that this is a brand new teaching for the world, and its purpose is to bring this flowering to our species. so that these future children have a home, when we create this new world, in all the different ways with the skills and the gifts and the genius that we have. But unless we can awaken that genius and network it together, then we can't bring that true next level of humanity out into the world. So, yeah. Thank you for listening. And I'll see what questions are coming. Can you do the Star Pearl the same time as other teachings in the Golden Path? Yes, you can. The Star Pearl is designed as a kind of an open system within the gene keys, so that, and you'll find synchronicities moving across the matrix, because the Star Pearl comes from the same matrix. So there'll be overlapping gene keys, and you may find a lot of different synchronicities. You need a certain elasticity of mind, so that might be a step that some of us have to take if you're involved in other areas of working with the gene keys. You might need to just kind of bend a little bit more and flex your brain so that you're not too caught up in the linear, and then you can engage a bit more of the right brain and start to weave these teachings together in magical ways, and you'll see how they support each other. There's a lovely one here. So I'm 82 years old, sense that the dynamic for people nearing the end is somehow different from younger people who are still immersed in society. I'm curious about that question. Can we bypass the pearl sequence? Bypass the pearl sequence. I don't know about bypassing. I'm not in the bypassing game. I'm in the get stuck into the shadows and details of your life game. And that's what the gene keys are about. So, but yes, you're quite right. There are different, priorities that emerge towards the end of our lives. And in a way, what we're doing there is we are preparing the conditions for the next iteration of our being. We are eternal beings. And so when you get nearer the end, it's all about preparation. It's about tidying things away. It's about, and I mean that emotionally and through your memories and through, and preparing yourself physically, so that you're deeply relaxed, and preparing your mind so that it can kind of expand. This is a teaching that can help you expand that mind, because however old you are, when you do that self-assessment, you're going to see, there are the areas where I still have a bit of work to do. And no one can bypass that. The one thing I say in the program is that if your score, your value that you give yourself gets above the 80 threshold, then you can leave. You can leave it. I don't mean you can leave this plane. Well, maybe you can. You don't need any more tools. You don't need any tools, because at that point, if there's that level of harmony operating in your life, then you don't need anything, because it then the harmony holds your life up. It holds you in a more blissful state. However, there's also checks and balances woven into this program, because when we do self-assessments, you tend to be one of two patterns. You either you're over generous to yourself, or you're self-judgmental towards yourself. And every single one of you who's heard that, you already know instantly which one of those two you are. And so you're invited to really recognize that and then make compensation for it. So if you're over generous, hold back a bit. And if you are self-judgmental, be a bit more generous to yourself, be a bit kinder to yourself. So there's a whole process, even just in doing the self-assessments, that really we have to face ourselves. We have to face, that part of ourselves that we don't often see. So yeah, powerful. The pacing of the Star Pearl, 1 month to set the stage, 9 more to navigate together. You'll understand the details in the flow, because if you think about it, in the other, in retreats where we're working with the Gene Keys, because we do a lot of virtual retreats, we usually give 1 month per Gene Key, because a Gene Key is an archetype. It's a wormhole. There's a Gene Key and its line and its story, and it has a whole series of threads that connect you in your life to your journey in life, to your work, to the issues that are going on for you right now, that shadow that you're looking at. As you look at each shadow of your Gene Key and you really begin to examine it, you start to see it in your life, alive, happening right now, not like something in your brain. You see it right now. You're like, oh my God, I can see this happening. It's like, I can see let's say it's the shadow of corruption. You see it coming into your life. You see yourself keep drawing it in, and then you have to tackle it, and you have to understand it, and you have to transmute it in order that you can find, well, where's the gift? And then you begin to release that gift, and then that begins to emerge in your life. And this is not a quick process. That takes some time. That's why contemplation isn't just thinking. It may begin with thinking, but it's about feeling your way in. It's about pausing. It's about creating space in your life for this teaching to kind of come to roost, because this isn't just mental stuff. This isn't knowledge. This is a wisdom system, a wisdom tool, and wisdom is already inside us. Knowledge is something we put in through our brain. Wisdom is of the body. Wisdom is in us. It has to be triggered. It has to be catalyzed. It has to emerge from inside us. And so this is a wisdom tool. There's knowledge as well, but essentially that's what it's really trying to get. It's here to create and catalyze breakthroughs in our lives. And breakthroughs are so different for each of us, but a breakthrough is a breakthrough. An epiphany is an epiphany. You can't mistake it when it happens. So the pacing is, it's recommended. Everyone's different because we all have different rhythms, right? And there's a lot of freedom in that. But I recommend the pacing of 1 Gene Key per month. And then you're actually, as you're moving through 3 triangles, you've done 9 Gene Keys, so you've done 9 months. And that's kind of, and then you can go on doing as many self-assessments as often and as you want. And some of you will move quicker than that, and some of you may move slower than that, and that's fine. You may have, if you move very fast, you'll probably have to come back and catch up with yourself, because people that move very fast, you're not the best contemplators. And contemplation takes time, to really taste and savor a wisdom, for it to come alive and come out. That racy mind of ours has to sort of slow down a little bit, and we find that more majestic pacing. So you'll find the pacing, and the program is step by step, so it shows you each step, and emails will also come to you in the timing that you need them to, so that's automated in the process and the program, so that you're kind of reminded, oh yeah, so we've sort of thought about these things. There's that question. This is a technical question for people who like Gene Keys, and maybe Gene Keys nerds, of which I'm one. King nerd. Why is stability hidden behind the SQ? I've never heard it quite put like that. It's a strange question that is answered in the program, but essentially, there are anomalies in the star pearl. It breaks some of the regular rules. So there's a Gene Key that superimposes on top of another key, and they live in the same sphere. And there's a mystery in that. And when you come into the program, you'll get an answer to that question. So I'm going to hold back from diving in, for those of you who won't know what I'm talking about. Will there be calls or community calls or pod calls? We're doing this in a different way. It's a completely new program. It's a completely different program. So we're doing it in a different way from the way we've done past retreats. In a way, it's not really a retreat. It's a community experiment, and so the doors are open. The previous retreats we do, they're like cruises. You get, once the ship's left the dock, it's left the dock. If you're not on it, you've missed. So you're in that cruise for 6 months or 3 months, depends which program you're in. This one isn't like that. This is more of a journey, an open journey. So the doors are always open, so people can come in at any phase. So in 6 months' time, a new person may come right in and discover this. And you've been in there for 6 months. You're coming to your third self-assessment. You've already gone like through the curve. You've understood a lot about this program and how it's working. You've had multiple breakthroughs. Perhaps you've even had one of those epiphanies, where your body shook with, a cellular recognition, and you had maybe a little spiritual moment or something, or a breakthrough that was really, lasting for you. And, and then a new person comes in, and there's a magic to that too, that we're at different levels and we're coming in at different frequencies and on different vectors. And that's how we're going to run this one. So we may bring things in that we haven't thought of yet, because it's a living process. And as I said, we're going to be modeling all kinds of new tech. So there's all kinds of possibilities for connectivity in the future. And definitely I personally, and I know that my team would like to create the opportunities for more connectivity, but it's not going to be in the same ways as our other retreats. What other questions have we got? Curious why my star pearl is so different from my other sequence. What are the new keys tuning to? Tuning is very much the right question, because that's what we're doing in the star pearl. We're tuning this Merkaba. We're tuning this body of light that is our life, this Dharma, this collectivity, this field that we live in. And we're tuning it so that it can become magical, it can become powerful, it can choreograph more good fortune for us, that we can break some of the old patterns that have been undermining us, that have been gathering dust, that have been causing issues and problems and suffering in us and in those around us. And so the new triangle that comes in for those of you who know the gene keys, it's called the triangle of involution, and it has new energies and new keys that come in and kind of lock in this involutionary triangle. And involution is about, it's the opposite of evolution. Involution is the notion that there is an involving spiritual, divine something that is coming deeper and deeper from up there, from the transcendent fields, and it wants to come down deeper and deeper and be embodied in the form, in humans, in us, in the Gaia, in our planet. That level of harmony, the harmony of the spheres, actually wants to come down and live on this planet. And we've had that dream as humans for millennia, the dream of heaven on earth, the dream of, Gaia, or that the beautiful dream of Eden, and we hold that as a dream inside us. And it is a very viable idea. It's more than a dream, it's an ideal. And one day that ideal will be realized. And the future human is a stage, Homo sanctus, I call it. And it's really, at some point, I'm going to have to stop calling it the future human and start calling it the new human, because that future is coming ever closer towards us. And even today, as I said earlier, there are beings who are arriving with incredible abilities, and these are abilities that we too can open up inside us. But new mutations are coming to the human species, and you want to stick around, and I think there's a lot of fireworks about to happen. So I think that's probably good. I'm sure there are hundreds more questions. There's a very good FAQ in the Star Pearl program, and most of your questions, probably technical questions for sure, will be answered in there, and we will go on answering them as they come in. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to this, and I hope it sounds inspiring for you. Thank you for hanging on in there. Look, I've only just been over an hour in the end. I wanted to keep this short. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. But I really hope that you will give it a try. I mean, come and do the self-assessment, and that in itself is an extraordinary process. Make sure when you do that, Elijah always says, have a cup of tea with you and just settle down into a nice quiet corner. And you're going to go on a really contemplative journey, and you're going to map your whole life. You're going to grade it, and you don't want to overthink it either. There's all kinds of advice about how to approach it, but that's in the program. But I hope it's something that's inspiring to you, and I hope you'll join us and our community on this incredible experiment through 2025, and an amazing year. With, you know, today is the gene key is in gene key 41, which is the in genetics we call that the start codon. So it corresponds to the initiator codon in genetics. And what that means is that every time the sun is moving through that key, which is always at this time of year, it's the true new year is always about now. So it's a wonderful time to begin new things. It's the perfect time to be in harmony with the cosmos and begin something new. And also we have this planet Pluto, which is the most distant planet, which will move into the gene key 41 at the end of this month. And that doesn't happen very often. That doesn't happen for 250 odd years. And that's a really powerful moment. So that'll never happen again in your life unless, you know, we figure out a way to live a very long time. You know, so it's a real moment. You know, this year is a really powerful moment. Today is a powerful day. You know, it's a powerful time. You know, there's a new something beautiful and new emerging in the world. Most people don't know it's happening, right? Because they're looking out there and they're seeing what's only out there. When you start to come in and develop a rich inner life, you start to tune in to what's really going on, you know, and then you realize that what's going on the outside is actually a byproduct of what's really coming out, coming through from the deep core of our being, from the heart of humanity. And that's the pearl of great price, the pearl of wisdom, the pearl of love. That's what we're here to be. We're here to embody that pearl, you know, and we're here to embody it under the stars, you know, with all the creatures of Gaia. And even though there's a lot of trouble coming to this planet on the outside, there's a lot of beauty emerging on the inside. And those two can live together. They have to live together, you know, that inner blossoming and that outer decay. You know, so come and explore the Star Pearl, and it will help you find that deep level of stability that will help anyone weather challenging and difficult times. And I think we have some coming. So thank you.